Good evening and welcome to another Twitch live stream with Cables GL. I'm Andro and tonight I'll be doing another episode of building my VJ software inside of Cables GL. Just kind of getting ready right now into the flow of things. I hope I'm audible and that everybody can hear me. We did a quick test up front a little while ago, so hopefully that's all okay right now. So as usual, I'm just going to give it a little while for people to be able to get into the stream. All nice and dandy. Hey, Framimi, thanks for joining us. So, oh wow, now I'm like really low. High-tech webcam stuff going on here. Professional Twitch streamer for life. Okay, I think that'll be okay. So yeah, tonight I'm going to be working with some Midi controllers for the first time in this whole stream. Panda has been kind enough to loan me his Midi fighter, and I've got my launch pad. They'll be on the screen in a little while. And I've also been putting a lot of thought into where I'm going to go with this basically, because like I said in the last stream, this is kind of like a perfect case scenario where Ableton Live, you know, everything's been made perfectly with music, and you know, it's visual software. But my definition of VJ software is where you can go to a club and be thrown into pretty much any environment with a DJ, and be able to make cool visuals with it. You know, and of course, I've got my own style with that, which I think is very beat locked. I really like things moving along with the lights and stuff like that. But this is how I did it back in the past with other software that I built. Just first of all, perfect it with Ableton Live. Ultimately, in the next episode or two, I'm going to want to step off using Ableton Live, and then I'm probably going to be asking Retrigger, Ronnie, for a wicked DJ mix to kind of simulate like being in the club. And then I'm going to build a lot of the functionality that I kind of like use out of Ableton Live inside of Cables. And with that, we're talking more stuff like BPM tap, resetting, resynchronizing, because resynchronizing is really one of the biggest issues that you can hit basically when you're in a live situation that, you know, DJ changes to a different BPM or something skips or whatever, and you need to get back into the flow of the music basically. So maybe I'll be doing that in the next live stream then, building a kind of like way to drop Ableton Live for now. So it's kind of like two versions of the software, one for live, one without. And then in the live stream, probably that'll look really bad at the beginning while the system takes place. So yeah, that'll be like an audio only kind of software, which will require a very different approach. Just give me one moment. It was chilly in my room before, and now it's too warm. Okay, so let's get started. So basically what I've got is, I'm just going to need a minute to do this, everybody. So hopefully this is clear for everybody. I've got my Midi fighter on my launch pad, and I was looking at this before while I was testing for the stream. So this is like, this doesn't look right to me on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this vertically. So it's going to look a bit weird, but you've kind of got the view that I've got now. This is like, say, my button 0, or this is my first Midi knob. Hold on, let's move this a bit over there. Yeah, it's the first time I'm doing this, so it might not be perfect. So everybody, just need a minute. It is a webcam on top of a monitor. Yeah, okay. Is this kind of, hey Titus, thanks for joining us. So I hope this is visible. So this is like my knob 0, 1, 2, 3, goes all the way up to 16. And this is like my first Midi button, and this is the last one. So it looks a bit weird with the camera, but now you kind of see what I see, which I think is the best way to do this. So yeah, I didn't actually really do much preparation as usual, because otherwise I may as well just do a tutorial video. So yeah, what do we want to do with this? Well, we want to use these controllers obviously to be able to do something live with the visuals. So you know what? Let's put the music on. Get rid of that. So I already loaded the patch, made a new version. I've called it part 3. So let's just actually turn the music off for a minute, and I can just focus a little bit on what I'm going to do. So for people that aren't familiar with this, I mean, I've got a subpatch right here if you didn't see the previous streams, and inside this subpatch, this is where I want all my MIDI logic to be, because I'm going to reuse a lot of it all over the place. And I did a little test today. I'm just going to get rid of that because I want to show you this from scratch. Just had to plug in the hardware and make sure that it worked correctly before the stream. So I've got the MIDI fader here, so this is the first thing I want to map, and you know this has values that go from 0 to 127, and hopefully you can see this with those lights there. I hope that's kind of visible, and then we can see like where it is, right? So this is a MIDI CC signal, continuous channel data. It's continuously sending out this number, apparently. So let's just get this mapped nice and quickly. So I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to call this MIDI fader. Okay, so to get this MIDI input inside of cables, you first of all always need to make sure that all of your MIDI devices are plugged in before you load the patch. If I'm correct, Cables does not support hot loading right now, so if you would plug in a MIDI input device while your patch is open, I don't think that's seen. Don't quote me on that, but if you plug it in and you don't see it, just plug it in, reload your patch, and then it should just be visible. So I'm going to type in MIDI input device. Now this allows me to get MIDI input basically. So if I now go here to device, here I see the name already, MIDI fader twister. So I'm going to click that, and this is now connected to the MIDI fader. So I can just duplicate this. Control C, Control V. I'm going to make one for the Launchpad Mini, which is this controller here. So this does exclusively no on, no off messages. This does normally MIDI CC. It can use a custom editor to also do no on, no off, and CC stuff. But I'm just keeping it on CCs for tonight. So let's just say I want to have all 16 of these knobs available because I don't know what I want to do with them yet, right? So I'm going to go here. It's got a really cool function. So we click Learn, and I turn the first knob. And what happens is this appears and it shows me, look, this is MIDI channel 1, CC index 0. We've got here an option that's like normalize. So I just want to show you that if I turn this knob now, I can go all the way up to 127. And I can turn it all the way back. So I don't want to work in this range because normally like in Cables or other software, I'm just used to working in the 0 to 1 range. So I'm going to put normalize 0 to 1. And that's going to give me a value from 0 to 1. This is just way easier to work with, basically, mathematically. So what I want to do is just very quickly build this controller inside of Cables. So I'm going to click here again, and I'm going to click Learn. I'm going to do this. So this gives me the second one. I'm going to click here, Learn. It gives me this. So I've got my first like 4 rows there. Now I'm going to have to do a bit of repatching in a moment, but it's just to show you how quick and easily this goes. So I'm going to disconnect this for now. You'll see why in a minute. You know, this is something you got to do once, right? And you know, of course, if you build this into a sub patch, you can just copy and paste it and put it into any of your Cables patches later. So it's just a one-time process, basically. So, and I really love this learn function. It stops you just having to create an op and then pick the right CC and everything like that. It's a real awesome time saver. Okay. Let's just align these. Okay, almost there. So as you can see, I'm just building what the controller basically looks like. Now, you might be thinking, why is Andro disconnected and all that stuff? Well, you'll see that in a minute. I mean, I just want to keep the patch nice and tidy. So a little explanation there. I'm going to press F to go into flow mode. So if I turn a knob, you can see activity. So this is CC data. So we've got event data, which is all of the MIDI data that comes out of this, just like everything. We have note data, CC, NRPN, and clock data, basically. So this is event data. So what I'm going to do is now I just want to have a clean patch. I'll just do this. I just don't want all these cables going over each other, basically. I just want it to be nice and readable for now. And I don't have to worry about like which MIDI CC note that it is, because the learn function is just taking care of that. I'm just zooming in a little bit more. Now, you know, I just prefer this compared to having all of the cables dragged over each other like that. So as you can see, if I just turn any of the knobs now, I'm just getting event data passed through everywhere. Okay, so far so good. So that's it. We basically just recreated the MIDI fader. There's some other functions here, basically. So like if I'm going to click here on learn, with the MIDI fader, I can push, let me go here, it's easier to see. I can push the knob in, and what that does is that also acts as a MIDI CC, but it's only got like an on-off value, right? You can see that here. And that's basically the same as a MIDI button. You can just do that with CC data as well, right? So if we're smart about this, let's just take a quick peek. If I'm going to click learn and click the first one. So if we look here, this is CC index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, continues all the way up to 15. And the only difference is this is on channel 2. So basically what I can do is I can say this. I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to move this up here. I'm going to call this dials. Right there. Let's get a bit more space. And I'm just going to copy this and put it there. And I'm going to give these guys a different color, so I can just differentiate between them. So just pick them all and do this. And I'm going to click and drag this out, put it there. Now for holding Alt, right click, drag, I can just copy that chord. Now the only thing I've got to do now is just put all of these on MIDI channel 2, and basically they are then mapped to the MIDI fader. So it's a really nice simple way that they've done it. I mean, you've got 16 MIDI channels, so there's no problem with doing this. It just makes it nice, quick, and easy. So, so far so good. I mean, to me, if you can get something like this set up in another 10, 15 minutes, then that's pretty fast, basically. We tried with developing these ops to make this as quick and painless as possible. And this is just like scratching the surface of what we can do. So right now, and once again, this is sending out values of, this one's 0 to 1, but these also need to be 0 to 1. I just want 0 to 1 because that's just an easy number to work with. 0 is off, 1 is on. Okay. So in the meantime, I've been thinking a lot about where to go with this. I mean, I've got so many ideas. And I suppose the hard part is I've got to focus on getting the basics set up, because, you know, once the basics are rock solid, then you can work some more and everything else. So, there we go. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to call this buttons. That's just an easy way for me to remember this. Okay. So these now I'll go from 0 to 1. Okay, that was the last thing that I've got to do. And, you know, this is normal. Normally you just want, normally MIDI CC is just 0 to 127. So that means you've got 128 values actually, because the 0 also counts as a value. And this mode 0 to 1 or -1 to 1 is something that we decided to add because it just makes life a lot simpler, because there's just something you end up doing a lot. Okay, let's save. All right, that's the MIDI fader done. Okay, so this patch is looking pretty nifty for MIDI. So this is all of our timing stuff there from the previous streams. This is the MIDI in from live. These are the notes that come from the individual instruments. So let's call it that. Just because the bigger your patch gets, comments to your friend. Okay. So there we've got the MIDI fader. Let's just type this in. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to type in the... let's copy and paste this comment. And then we're going to say... Launchpad Mini controller. Okay, so if we're going to click the Launchpad Mini, there's one or two things we can do here. So I'm going to click Learn, press the MIDI button, and it automatically creates the MIDI note because the Launchpad is sending out MIDI notes, right? So if we're going to click the MIDI note up, we can see here, let's do clear. So if we clear it, right, so if we don't do a MIDI learn, we can get the current note here. So I'm going to try and do this slowly. You can see the buttons I'm pressing in here and that value's incrementing. So we see that the lowest button is current note 0 and the max is 120. So it's 121 values. And if I'm correct, these ones up here, I think they're MIDI CC. Doesn't matter though, because we've got enough buttons for now. So yeah, you know, I could make one MIDI note for all of these, and that'd be 8 by 8, 64, if I'm correct. That's a lot of ops. I don't want to do that right now. So we've got this other cool op called MIDI notes filter. And this allows you to only read a range of notes, basically. And you might think, well, why would you want to do that? It's really just very handy. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Learn, and I'm going to hold in the low note, and I'm going to press the high note right here. And as you can see, it's now mapped the note start and note end. So it's C-2 to G-2. Okay, and this is the note number. So that's note number 0, and the highest one is 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I'm just going to copy paste this, and I'm going to got to zoom in a little bit tonight. Go down here, and I'm going to click Learn, and I'm going to do the second range. I'm just going to do like the first 4 for now. Could do all of them, just so I don't have to come back and do it again. Learn, okay. I'm not using these buttons on the right now. There's going to be a reason for that later on. Let's connect this, go down. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, so what this now does is it only accepts those notes. So if you look here, I've mapped these MIDI notes here on the top row, right? So if I click it, you know, I get those notes. But if I click these ones, nothing comes out. That's only going to be received here, basically. So this is a really handy way. Hey Titus, yeah, seems like cables need a simultaneous edit feature. This would be kind of handy. It's like in Ableton Live, if you would select 12 or 16 or 32 clips, you could change the quantization rate. And if that parameter is in common between all the selected clips, then it will do that. That would be a cool feature, for sure. So the reason I'm doing this is that I've just got in my head right now because I'm just trying this out. I'm going to type in FX1, FX2, FX3, FX4. Now I have no idea how many post FX that we've got. That's this stuff right here, okay? So what I had in my head was that these buttons would be like an effect on off, and I don't know, actually. We're just going to map this stuff and just see what happens. So we're inside of a subpatch, and for this, we're going to need to use variables to send the data out to the rest of the cables patch, basically. So let's make a little bit of space here. Now, I'm not going to do this for the entire control because that would be a little bit boring for the stream to watch. So I'm only going to do it for, like, say, the top row or two. So let's look at what we can do with this. So we're looking at this top MIDI CC. That's the buttons, dials. There we go. So we're looking at this, we can go between 0 and 1, right? Now, let me just turn off flow mode to run this one. Okay, great. So we can get I just want to show you a few tricks we can do. So we can, I'm going to press F for flow mode. So we can get a trigger whenever it changes, as you can see there. That's also really handy. And we have the index out, like what is it actually? And this is what we're interested in, the value out. So I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to do var set number. And it's always a good idea to have like a kind of naming convention here. So I'm just going to put in Midi fighter CC. And then I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to copy this because I want to do that quickly and rapidly with more parts. So let me just make some space here. Okay. I'm going to move that over there. Yeah, I know this isn't a visually super exciting stream right now, but we'll get there. So cables remembers the last op that you made. So I can just do this now. I just drag out, press enter. And you know what, just to make it a bit visually clear, but that's different, I'm just going to move it a bit like this. I just think that makes the patch a little bit more readable. So I'll tidy all this up in a minute. You know what, I may as well just do this for everything at once, so it's just going to take longer later. So I'll tidy it up in a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go here, create new variable. I'm going to do paste. I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to click here, create new variable, paste 2, paste 3. You can see where I'm going with this. So this is my way to kind of do this stuff nice and fast. Once again, something you've only got to do once. Anybody's got any questions in the meantime, please feel free to throw them in the chat. If I'm a little bit late with responding, it's probably because I'm just in the zone and very focused on what I'm doing right now, but I will get there. Okay. I've forgotten, was it Shift A? Or was it A with these guys? I've forgotten the alignment stuff. Ah, it's Shift A. Okay. Shift A should do the horizontal alignment, but I think they're a little bit too close to each other. Okay. No worries. We'll just do this by hand for now. Got to get those straight lines in there. Team straight lines for the win. Okay. All right, great. So now we've set our variables there. So this is the reason I wanted to use the Midi note filter, because I don't want to end up with 64 of these buttons, which is actually not really a bad thing because this allows you to do a lot of different things later. But I just want to keep this nice and easy right now. So if we look here, we can look at the current note. So this is a really interesting thing with this op, if you know a little bit about Midi. So let's put that was it, we have to put the velocity 0 to 1 as well, so it's all within the same range. Okay. Seems to be something up the gate. Not sure why. No, that's something I won't be using tonight then. Okay. So let's get this current note. So I'm going to do var set number. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to do it for 2 layers for now. I'm going to say launchpad row underscore. I'm going to copy this. I always start with like 0. So make a new variable again, row 1. Let's just do it for R4 for now. So basically, you know, we're just saying like, what number do I have? And I just don't want all numbers to go through each variable set number there. It's just a way for me to break down all of that data, save it. Okay. Now, this has of course been quite a lot of boring stuff to watch, I think, or maybe it's actually not been so boring for you guys. I'm not gonna do it here with the buttons for now. I'll do that later if I decide stuff needs to get added. Let's not make it more complex than it needs to be. So what can we do with all of this, right? Well, there's one last thing I forgot about, sorry. So these buttons here, you know, when you're VJing, it's really easy to lose track of what you're doing and what's going on, right? I mean, you can be in a really busy place, lights are flashing, and it's like, you know, you can't really put a piece of paper over this thing and write down, you know, what every single little button does. So I like to just create a system where even if it's like a really hectic moment and I can't remember exactly what something does, that's gonna do what I want or do something really cool even if I've forgotten, sorry. So one of the other things we can do here is, I'm going to use these as main buttons. They're really easy to recognize. So this is a row of something, like say for a post fx, and this is just going to be, I think, my bypass, like on or off. So let's just try and implement that. So to do that, we're going to go here and I'm going to click learn, and this should just give me the MIDI note up. Right, cool. So let's click learn again, do the second one. Let's click learn again, do the third one. Let's click learn again, do the fourth one. Okay, I'm just going to disconnect these because I just want that nice clean patch, and I'm going to pass the event data through like this. All right, great. So range 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Now, if you look here, I'm going to press this button. Gate is like this. If I hold it in, the gate is open. If I let go, then it's closed. It's false, right? But I want this to be an on-off button. It's not why I want to hold this button in the whole time that I want like a blur or a mirror effect. I just want to press it once for on and once for off. So if we go up here and we press toggle gate, we press it once, it should be working. That's weird. I don't know what's going on with the MIDI ops tonight, basically. Okay, well, we're going to just work around this then. So let's get this trigger, okay? And we're going to say trigger send. And we're going to create a new one. Actually, give me a moment. Right, no, we're going to do it differently. So I'm not sure what's going on with the gate right now, but we're going to get this gate, and I'm going to do bool to number. Just want it all to be numbers for now with this kind of thing, on and off. Actually, no, sorry guys, I'm thinking a little bit far ahead. Let's just do it like this. Var set number. So 0 or 1 is also true or false in JavaScript, basically. So we can just send the Boolean through and it'll be interpreted in the correct way. So I'm going to make a new variable. I'm going to say launchpad row 0 main button. Big long name. Okay. And I'm going to go to this bool. Var set number. I wish I'd copied that name first. Launchpad row on main button. Let's just copy this so I don't have to do that again. Gonna make a new variable. We're gonna paste that, and we're gonna put this as row 2. Okay. Get this one again. And then we're gonna create a new variable, and we're gonna put it as row 3. Okay. So what we then get is this. So first row, right? So we got this. And we're going to put the normalized velocity to 0 to 1. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm not sure what's going on here with the... Of course. Sorry, I'm just being silly here. This makes perfect sense. Unless... No, there is a problem. The toggle gate here is not working the way that it should. Unfortunately. This should just toggle the gate between an open and closed state. So I think I found a new bug there. No sweat, we'll squash that one as quickly as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a really cool op for this. Basically, I'm just going to show you it here before I use it in the rest of the patch. So I'm just going to type in trigger true. Triggers next only after value is changed to true. All right. So this is only going to send out a trigger. I'll go into flow mode if the value coming in is true. Right. So if I press it. As you can see, it sends out a trigger, but if I let go, it doesn't. Right, so trigger change true, trigger change false, really handy op. So that's the stuff I'm going to use later on to create this kind of like toggle effect. So I can also go here and I can type in toggle bool. So this is like really cool now. Let's just show you what's going to go on. So I'm going to go here. We already used this in a previous stream. And if I'm going to press this button now, it becomes true. If I press it again, it becomes false. So, you know, I was a little bit mixed up there, but this is what I want, right? I want to be able to turn FX on and off, basically. You might think, why don't you just do this here, the toggle bool, and then send that into the var set number? I'd advise against doing that, because when you're using var set number or var array or something like that, I always try and keep the data going into that just as low level and simple as possible. If you modify it there, you modify it everywhere else in the patch, which can just really be a bad idea. So this is what I'm going to use, this little combo here. So I'm going to copy that, I'm going to get rid of it. So let's now implement it with something really nice and simple. So I'm going to go back. And let's put some music on, because it's been a little bit quiet. Really cool track here, still from Obverse. And I know you guys have been hearing this for quite a while, but I think it's a good track, so I'm fine with listening to it the whole time. So let's turn off flow mode, and we need to go to the post effects part, right? So let's take a look at what's going on here. Okay, so that's where this comes in. And this is where we get the post effects going on. So if I'm going to disconnect this, actually, here we go. So we've got these sliders up here, right? The UI elements that are there. So I'm going to turn global effects off. There we go. So this is it without anything. So I need to rebuild this a little bit, I think. So I'm going to try and keep this as simple as I can, right? We're going to break this down. So first of all, let's look at this one, right? I'm just going to disconnect this because we're going to use MIDI controls tonight. So look, this is if true then, right? So because it's not evaluating to true, the render pass just stops here, which means everything underneath is just ignored, right? So this is our way of just turning off everything. And what we can do is we can use a system systematically to be able to turn effects on or off. At least that's how it is working right now in my head. So let's give this a try, okay? So the first effect, that's how I want to look at it, is this zoom blur, right? So let's turn this on. Let's turn these off, right? So yeah, so we've got the zoom blur here, right? So this is like everything on, everything off. That should also probably have its own button, Okay, so let's say that I want to turn everything on and off. I'm going to use this button here in the bottom right corner because that's just the only thing I can come up with right now. So instead of having to do this and then go over here and go into MIDI all, whenever you've made a subpatch, right? So look, if I click an op, you get the op parameters, right? If you click anywhere in the canvas, you get your subpatches here. So I can just click MIDI all now, and I'll jump inside of the subpatch. And it's a really quick, handy way to navigate your stuff, basically. So this button here, bottom right corner, that's going to be my reset everything, turn all effects off. So I'm going to click here, learn. And it's Livestream, so I'm not going to get it all right in one go. So I'm going to just put a note here because I'm going to forget it later. Disable all post effects. All right, nice and clear. So I'm going to go here. We're going to get that bool, right? I'm going to do var set number. If I'm lucky, I've still got, whoa, no, that was an op, I accidentally pasted. So we're going to type it in, launchpad row. We're starting at 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so it's row 7. Main button. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to get this bool, plug that in there, lovely. So I'm going to click this, go back to main. All right, cool. So I want to be able to turn all the effects on or off. Let's go into flow mode so everybody can see what's going on here. This could all change later, but I just want to build it into little modules right now. Let's move that over there. So let's zoom in. So this is my disable all FX. All right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to do var get number. Okay. I'm going to go here to variable. I'm going to look at launchpad row 7 main button. That's this one. So if I press this button now, that's going to change. Great. So we're going to go here. I'm going to do trigger changed true. So it triggers next only after it's evaluated to true. And we're going to go here and we're going to grab the toggle bool, toggle a Boolean value by triggering. Okay, so if I now click this, go out of flow mode, because I can slow stuff down a bit. I can do this, and we go between true, false. That's it, right? So I'm going to make this really compact because we're going to be doing this a little bit more right now. Okay, so I'm going to get this, and I'm going to plug that into there. And this will allow me to now turn off the global effects, right? So now I've got the zoom blur, which can turn on. Okay, let's go here. And if I press it again, we turn it off. Now, I know, so like right now, this is a big problem, right? I don't know if this button is on or off, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it in this stream. It's possible to send MIDI data to the launchpad to light individual buttons up, which is great because then I can go like, oh, if this is on, it's green, if it's off, it's red, which is kind of like how the launchpad works with Ableton Live, basically. So that's something for something else. We're just gonna have to wing it for now because you got to build it all in steps. So that's something on the wish list for in a future stream. Okay, so let's make this nice and easy to read. So I'm going to move this here. Okay, so let's disable all effects. So I've got here the zoom blur, that's one effect, and I've got these two mirrors, an edge detection and chromatic aberration. Okay, all right, so let's just go step for step through this. So if I turn this on, now yeah, that's the thing, I've got everything disabled. There we go. All right, so this is the mirror effect, right? But the mirror is actually made out of two effects, right? Okay, so how are we gonna do this? So I'm just looking at like, oh, these are cool buttons that I could just add to the launch pad, basically. So let's just move this down there. Okay, so this zoom blur, that's the next thing I want to work on. Let's move it over here so it's more readable. Okay, so I want to be able to turn this on or off. So right now, this is my main thing. So now I'm just going to do my post effects here. So we're going to call this number 1. Actually 0, then it matches up with row 0, right? So I'm just going to copy this little part here, Don't need to rebuild it anymore. I'm going to pull it down. And here I'm going to go to Launchpad, row 0, main button. So that's this one here, right? And you need a system, okay? I mean, you don't have to do my system, but you need one that works for you to be able to just come back to this and go, this makes sense. This is because I've done a lot of stuff with these controls in the past. This is just something that works for me, basically. So now I'll be able to turn the zoom blur on or off, right? So if we go here, we can see that I can toggle between it being on or off. Now don't forget, this is also affected by the Midi coming from the bass gate. So that's like when the bass synth is playing, you know, that's making this turn on or off. Now, a lot of people might argue, this gets really complex. I'm like, no, it's okay. You know, all these variables coming together just means you're not looking. I'm not a fan of VJ stuff where you look at the screen and it's like 1 minute later, a few things changed, like a few, but most of the things you're looking at are the same. I don't know. That's just my personal style. So maybe I like things to be overly complex. Who knows? Somebody that knew me from the past said I'm a fan of building Death Stars instead of simple solutions. So that could be something. If you stack two effects below each other and you deactivate the effect on top, the second will not run too. It's a question from Titus. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right, Titus? So what I want to be able to do right now is I just want to be able to, I hope you're still watching. So if we look here, you know, I want the triggers to always run down even if I bypass an effect. So if I'm going to bypass this zoom blur now, everything else underneath still gets a trigger. So this is why I'm using the if true then op, basically, right? If I'd use something like gate trigger with a boolean, then it would just cut everything off, which is not what I want. I mean, I could use that here, but this is just easier to read, I think, right now. So this is going to be the mirror. So I'm going to call this 1, which is going to be this row. So I'm just going to copy this part here again. I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to put that down. Okay, let's move this over here. All right. So now we want to get Launchpad row 1 main button. Okay. So let's check it in flow mode. So if I press this, mirror goes on and off. Lovely. Okay. See where we're going with this. So we're just turning the effects on and off right now. So we need to simulate this again. So I'm going to get if true then, and I'm going to pop that here, basically. And this is going to be for the edge detection. Now this has a strength, so sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not. Not too sure what that is right now. 116 bool on it. Must be doing something. All right, so let's move this down. Of course, that's something I did quite a while ago, so I don't remember it all right now. Now, if I want to make things a bit more readable, which is always never a bad idea, we can use the color coding, right? So first of all, let's plug this in. This is row 2, main button. As you can see, I'm just duplicating a lot of the same actions. So this is row 2. Make it even clearer. Type in row 2. You know, we could even type in Launchpad row 1. Yeah, let's just do this. Because it's so easy to look at this stuff later on and go, what did I do again? I'm gonna go here as well. Make it nice and easy to read. Okay. So we need to move this here, and we then need to move that there. So we get the same effect as with the zoom blur. So this is like our bypass system, right? So this is the effect. This is when we bypass it, it carries on the right hand side. So we're gonna, let's move this down. So this is for the if true then. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Pull this down. And you know, maybe we also wanna, whoops. We also wanna just reconnect this. And maybe we also want to disable the chromatic aberration. So I'm going to get this, and I'm going to plug that in there. And this is kind of like the last one now. Launchpad row 3. So let's just like crank this up a mad amount so it's like really over the top. So there's all that color now from the chromatic aberration. As you can see, I can turn it on or off with a button. I'm just cranking it up so it's really clear that it's doing something. Okay, so you know, this is really nice. So we've got this like bypass system here now. So we're gonna look at it in flow mode. That'll slow the visual down a little bit. But as you can see, I can now turn everything on or off, right? Yeah, there we go. So this is correct. This only needs this one connected, basically. So this is just like a simple bypass system, right? And this is cool because we could have like effect 0 and 3 on, but not 1 and 4. So this just makes itself very dynamic. Of course, without any feedback on the LED, so from the buttons, it becomes a little bit more difficult, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So, you know, I could turn all these on, and here's my global disable, which allows me to do stuff like this, right? Because, you know, I like to, when I VJ, I like to turn stuff on and off, right? You know, I want to be able to like listen to a beat. So I like to play with the controller later on when everything's plugged in. So I like a launch pad because you can bang it really fast. Okay, so let's look at the mirror effect, right? No, it's just funny. I'm noticing that we don't have, with the mirror effect, an amount like we normally do. So that's most of our texture effects have an amount, so you can turn it on or off. So these ones don't have that yet, so that's going to be something for a future update. Okay, so I'm going to stop the music playing for a minute because I want to just be able to follow what's going to happen now. Okay, because I just want to be able to control this. So I've got this, right? Now, like I said, I just want it where if I press something cool, something's going to happen, basically. So this is axis X, this is axis Y. Yeah, so, you know, I'm just going to make this like really, really simple now. So there's only one of two possible states. So maybe I should do it with the zoom blur. It doesn't matter. Let's just do it here, right? So I'm going to go here. A lot of freestyling tonight, everybody, so bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to go here. And what I want to do is I want to get that range, right? So I'm going to go here, variable. This is why named variables are really important. So I'm going to type in I'm going to get launchpad row 0, and this will give me these numbers, right? So this one will go, I'm just going to put it here now, because that's with the zoom blur. Control C, Control V, and this one is going to be row 1. That's for this effect. Just putting it all in place right now. And this is going to be for row 2. Oh, whoops. There we go. And this is going to be for row 3. Okay. So, you know, this is just going to add up. Now, the thing I wanted to do before was some color coding, right? Just so I knew what was what. So I'm just going to grab these. I'm going to give it all the color green. And I can just look at it down and go, okay. This is all related to each other. Actually, let's move this down a little touch. A little bit more space. So these guys I'm just going to make yellow. This is launchpad row 2. So I'm going to move this up. I just want these things to be easy to recognize, basically. So when I'm at a distance now, I've got a nice overview of everything. I'm going to use blue down. Okay, let's do Control S. So there's a lot of different tricks we can do here, but I want to try and keep it really simple. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do equals, I think. So let's put this on 0. Ah, okay, so this is the thing. We need to see what the minimum is. So the minimum is 16, maximum is 23. So the minimum is 16. So we're going to say if it's 16, it's true. So if we push this button, and if we press anything else, it's false. So I just want to know if that's true. So I'll do trigger changed to true. Let me zoom in. So now I can use this button to I don't know, this isn't going to work. All right, just give me a minute. Hold it. How do we set this? This is an axis index. Okay, so this should mean that we can just plug in a number. So if it's 0, it will be X, and if we put this on 1, then it becomes Y. Okay, great. So, maybe I'm overthinking this, right? Maybe it's just an amazing map range up. So the minimum is 16, that's this button. Maximum is 17. And then I'm going to say 0 and 1. I think that's actually going to be way easier. So 0, 1, 0, 1. Ha! Okay, I was really overthinking that for a minute. So I'm going to plug this into the axis index. I just want to explain, this is a drop down. This is the equivalent of like a drop down or a switch, so there's only one possible state. It's the same as if we go to like a blend mode here. There's all these options, but we can only pick one, and that also takes like a blend mode index there. So what we're doing is, just to break it down, we're getting the number in from this launchpad row. So it's 16, 17, 18, 19, right? So we go 16, 17, we want to do this. We want to remap it to 0 and 1. So I'm now going to plug that in here. And now with this, I can swap between states, which is different than a toggle, right? Toggle, that's kind of hard to keep track of when this is full later. Later on, I want these buttons to light up to show state. So now I want to be able to change this for this one. So I'm going to go here, plug that into value, and let's look at buttons 3 and 4. So that's 18 and 19. Okay, I really love the map range up. It's got so much functionality bundled into it. So now I'm going to plug this into here. And now what I can do is I can, I think, no, this is really silly of me. I should only be doing this with 1, I think, to get the effect that I want. Yeah, okay, so I only need to be doing this with 1. No worries, it's a session to improvise with. So that, okay, that could be interesting, but not really what I'm looking for. Oh, that should be 0. Is flip what I want to do? Right, yeah, of course, that's not going to do a whole lot right now. Maybe it's just flip that I need to work with. Let me just check. Yeah, I mean, I may as well only do it with 1. So actually, let's just leave this on X and this on Y. I was getting mixed up there. And we're just going to plug this into flip. Yeah. Overthinking things there. No problem. Okay. So let's look at the width. I'm not a big fan of what that does to the image. I mean, this could be cool, but I could do this with a different effect. So let's just keep this simple for now. So I could do a lot more here, but let's just keep it like this. So it's just 2 buttons here, which let me change that state. So let's actually go to the zoom blur. I'm interested in doing some stuff here. So we turn that on by pressing this. Now nothing's going to happen because we're not getting any bass in, so I need to press play. So we're gonna, so I can now change that here. I'm gonna put it back to its default. Okay, I'm gonna turn off edge detect, turn off chromatic aberration. Okay. So let's look at what's going on here. So we've got a number coming in, which is the bass gate. So that's when the bass synth is playing, or the kick. I'm not sure right now, I think it's the bass. Okay, all right. So we're doing a map range from 0.5 to 1 now, and then the effect should be a lot heavier. Did I disable that? Yeah, I did. Okay, there we go. This is why the visual feedback there will be good. So this is really crazy over the top. So this is 0.1, 0.5, and if we put it in something like 4, it's going to just become very abstract. Let's put it on 2. Now we already get this kind of like smooth value here, right? Because of the smooth op. So it accelerates very quickly to the value and deaccelerates. So let me put this back the way it was before. It's on 0.5, right? So an interesting thing that we can do here is when we're using the map range, we don't actually need to do this. We could do a multiply by 0.5. So I'm just wondering what we can do here that could make this cool. So if this is on 0.5, that's that. And if I put this on 1, it becomes way more horizontal, right? So a kind of cool effect. Yeah, tweaking effects, that's just something you can just do all day long, basically. So if it's in 0, that's kind of interesting. My apologies for the background sound. So 0.5 is the default. So this is like where the blur kind of is, right? So I'm just wondering like what I can do. I mean, you've got two kind of things here that you can do. You can make something jump on and off when you press a button, which is a very direct kind of effect, or you can make it smooth from one value to another. Now, you know, we're getting these values here. So we could say, I'm just curious, I'm just going to try it out. So let's look at this. This is 0, right? So I want to say equals that's it. I want a trigger. So let's do if equals then. Let's just try this. So this needs a trigger. So I'm going to do trigger receive. I've got that global one in my patch called T1. There we go. So I'm going to put it on 0. Ah, no, wrong one. Sorry. Let's continue. So let's just do equals. Okay. So we're going to put it on 0. If this is pressed, it's true. If it's 1, it's false. Let's grab a boolean. Okay. Grab a trigger receive. Grab T1. It's just a global trigger, right? I just want that to always be available. It's here as well. So if I'm going to press 0 or 1, so this will outrun grow. So by pressing this button, it's kind of in reverse for me now, 1, 0. So if I press the second button, it goes to 1. Press this button, it goes to 0. So, you know, I could plug this into that X. So actually I want the minimum to be 0.5. Let's put this on 1. It's just me trying stuff out, right? So now it's on 1, which is like really crazy much. But if I'm going to press this button now, I'm going to have to grab a piece of the music where it's a little bit busier. It might just work better as a toggle effect. Let's put the ball minimum on 0.25. So it's just really subtle, yeah. And if I press it, now it goes to 1. Now, you know, the duration here, that's a big factor as well. Like if I put it on 2, it's going to take a long time for it to go from one value to another, basically. So if I'm going to press true, it's going to be like this. And to me, that's like way too long in VJ country. Now the thing I like about this is it's really subtle, but it's not jumping abruptly. It's kind of like, you know, if we turn, you know, the mirror on and off, you know, this is an effect we want to have jump very hard, right? But this one, I don't want that. I want it to go down, basically, or up. Yeah. Let's just try this out. Okay. Yeah, of course I've got this plugged into X. That is really silly. I was just thinking, like, why is the effect so heavy? This is the X coordinate of the zoom blur. It's not the strength. Okay. All right. So I've changed my mind. Let's do it like this. We'll get that max, the map range. That's what I was planning on doing. So we're gonna grab this. I'm going to plug that into new max. That's what I was planning on. So now we've got like a really subtle one, and if I press this, it goes up to 1 and we get the heavier kind of blur. Okay, and if I press this, it then goes down to 0.25. So this is just a way for me to just like make it, yeah, subtle, but it's fine for now. It's just building a control system and trying some stuff out. So 0.5, if that's how long it's taken, is still 0.25, that's okay. All right, let's just leave this for now. Just getting the stuff in place. So if we're gonna look at the zoom blur, what happens if I put both of these on 0, 0, and we put the strength on 1? It's in that corner, right? And if we put it on 1, 1, it should be in the opposite corner, like down there. Okay, cool. Then, you know, if we combine that with the mirror, we start to get the stuff like this. Okay, cool. All right. So maybe I want to have a way to be able to toggle this XY stuff, right? And it's kind of difficult because we've got 0, 0.5, which is the middle, the ideal sweet spot. So we've got 0, 0.5 and 1, and we've got that 2 times, so that's 6 possible combinations. How, you know, how do we map that nicely, basically? Just trying to think about that. I mean, I don't want to have to keep track of like so much over here that just becomes overly complicated. I already feel like I'm overcomplicating it right now. Let's just do a quick thing in the meantime that I wanted to do before that I forgot about. So I want to be able to change this. More cubes. All right, so searching in cables is really very powerful. So look at this. I don't know why I called it more cubes. That's the texture coming in. So do Control F, more, and this now pops up. And I'm looking for the var set texture. Here we go. Set more cubes. Oh, that var set texture subpatch patch 2. So I'm just going to click that. I don't know where it is. I don't care. Cable's just going to lead me there, basically. All right, now I think I did it with a root trigger. Okay. Wow, I don't remember any of this anymore, which is fine. Right, so I did something, okay, so I did something with a root trigger, right? That was that, if I'm correct. Here we go, root trigger. No. Ah, here we go, it's underneath Midi all. So this one, scene select, that's what I'm interested in right now. So that's this one, right? Yeah, so this allows me to change the scene. Let's just put that on this Midi knob here for now, because just want to start mapping a little bit. So you got to feel it out as it all comes together. You can't get this perfectly. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to do var get number. Okay. So we go here and we go for Midi fighter CC0. That should be this one. Yeah. Okay, so that's the top left one here that you see. Let's push it a bit into the picture. Hopefully that's visible. Okay, cool. So let's get that one. And now if we think about it, it's going between 0 and 1, right? But we've got 0, 1, 2. So we've got 3 values, 0, 1, and 2. We don't want this float. So I could just do multiply, right, by 3. And now 0, 2, 1 becomes this, but these floating point values are not going to work with the root trigger, right? They need to be integer numbers. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type in floor, and now it's only going to give me whole numbers. And I actually need to multiply it by 2, of course. All right, so this should now go between 0, 1, 2. All right, that's what I'm looking for. And it's really simple because that root trigger, you know, it can only work with integer numbers, you know. So if I press F now for flow mode, sorry, just need to plug it in. So we're using this to select the scene, and before we just did it with this slider, so this can go. Okay, so now I can pick, let's just disable all the effects. That's what I'm doing here with this button, right? That's why I wanted that there before. So now I can swap between the scenes, right? So this is 2, 1, 0. So it's slowly coming together. So now I'm gonna do this. Now the interesting part I'm looking at here is this also isn't being used. That turns the effects on and off. You know, this is a thing that can happen. I was just like, hey, is this not doing anything? But you know, I've got this stuff off, right? So I'm just gonna leave all the effects on. Okay, so here we've got scene 0, and then we go there, and then we go here. There's a lot of chromatic aberration. Okay, so this is all coming together a little bit more now. So we've got this scene selector. I'm just wondering where to go next with this. So let's turn on the mirror. Now you know this mirror is working on X and Y, I keep seeing, and I don't know why. That kind of bugs me. You know, I'd like to be able to bypass this one as well. That would require another if true then, and that would break this logic that I've got of this working. But you know, this could be a global bypass. But then if I'd make these 2 bypasses, I'd get really lost, like if this is on, but these are off. So I should actually, that's way too complicated for this stream. That's really making things bonkers, basically. All right, let's just check this edge detection thing on. Yeah, it is. So let's turn that off. So edge detection is adding this like white outline. And that depends on this 1/16 bool anim here. Right, okay, so every 16th there's a bool anim being triggered with true, false, okay, sure. So you know, if I put this on a really high width now, we get this. Didn't say it looked pretty, but it's a more exaggerated effect. Let's just put it there. This is the easiest scene to read right now. Turn off mirror. So there's that edge detection, giving that white edge. You know, I just want to plug stuff in. right now. So this is row 2. And here's a really interesting idea, you know, instead of using a Midi knob, you can get this range of numbers, plug them into a map range, and, you know, also assign that to something. It's kind of a waste of buttons, I suppose, but like, you know, what am I going to do with this right now? This edge detection isn't doing a whole lot. Just really thinking what to do right now. I'm pretty sure how to... I don't know why I was dropping it with the depth map, because there was something up with that last stream. Can't remember what it was. Okay. So what's this ZFX1? I think this changed this density of the shapes being together. Yeah, it did. And I think if I went to another patch like here, I think it changed like how many stripes were together, and I tried to just make it. So let's stop the patch for a minute with the music. Okay, so if I do this, I get, I think, that's this one. I get different lines, and if I swap to a different scene. And so this is what I meant with just like having something that if you just tweak, it does something in all of the sub-patches. So, you know, this is my scene select, right? The first knob. So I'm just going to grab the second knob now, and you know, we're gonna get this actually, and that was just a value which goes from 0 to 1. We're just going to unplug this, and we're going to plug that in there. And now with the second knob, I should just be okay. So I've got to put it on Midi fader CC1. So now with this knob, I can do this, right? Okay. Yeah, a trick I used to do back in the day was I create a kind of toggle that if I was pressing and holding it in, that I could turn it and it wouldn't send the value until you released it. And that was a great way to avoid this kind of stuff. You could like click it in, turn, let go, and then it would jump there, but we're not going to worry about that now. So yeah, now with these two knobs, I'm already adding some more control to the patch, basically. Okay. Now, the thing is, like here with this first one, I've got to really turn it a lot to get from 1 to 0, 1, and 2. I really don't like that. So you know what? I'm gonna drop this multiply. I'm gonna put a map range in, and I only actually want the first half. So I'm gonna put it in 0.5, and then I'm gonna put new min on 0, new max on 2. And now I don't have to turn it the whole way. If I turn it up the whole way, it just goes to preset 2. So now I can very quickly and easily change between my presets. You know, if I put it on 0.25, I can really rapidly change things. You know, I could also put this on the launch pad, right? Like scene 0, 1, 2, 3, which would probably be better because then you can just change like on the beat of the music with your fingers, but it's okay, we're just trying this out. This is the first time I'm building this all in cable, so it's not written in stone how this has to be, basically. So I'll just leave it like that for now. This feels bad, I don't have to make these big movements. Okay. So now we've got this knob here that's doing this. You know, and again, feels like I've got to turn it a lot to do stuff. So, you know, why don't I just do this again? So I'm just going to grab map range. And just because I can turn it the whole way doesn't mean I've got to use it for that, right? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to put it on 0.5. So I'm only using half of the knob now. But look, I can turn it a lot faster, you see? And the old max was actually 1, but now it's on 2, which is actually kind of cool. So, you know, this is nice now because I can just like turn this stuff on and off and just look at how that's working, basically. If I look at map range, yeah, so it's clamping the outside values. So here's a really interesting thing that I'm thinking of, right? You know, say I want to like put two different kinds of behavior on this one knob, right? So it's like I want it to go from 0. Let's say this 0 to 0.5 is 0 to 2, so it's going to do this. Actually, let's do this 0.25. So it's very fast now. Let's turn off mirror. But the moment I go past 0.25, it's not doing anything anymore. But that's not what I want. Actually, let's do it like this. So yeah, 0.5. And this is on using linear. Put it on smooth step. So you get this more smoother part at the top and the bottom. Let's just turn off the chromatic aberration. So what I can do here is, you know, I can just grab another map range because it's clamping after you've hit the min max values. So we know this is going from 0 to 0.5. So now I can say min 0.5 to 1 because I notice all these controllers only go from 0 to 1. So this is 0.5, 0 to 0.5 is 0 to 2. Now I can go here. 0.5 to 1 is 2 to 6. Crazy. It's going to probably look horrible, but you know, you got to start building it to see how it looks. And so what's happening here is I could actually put this on 0 to 1. And then this also has to be 1 to 6 for it to be smooth. So what happens is 0, actually, let's do it like this. 0, 0.25, 0.25, okay. So at the beginning, it opens very quickly, and then it opens very slowly. Now, there's a little thing here. There can be a problem. No, actually, this isn't a problem. This is fine. Everything is fine. Okay. So I like this because I can just do this now, and it, you know, I can make it really twitchy, and I can make it bigger as well, and it kind of slows down. Now the reason it looks a bit weird is because we've got smoother step on one, but linear on the other. Right, this is just experimentation, so let's just go from there. I mean, there's no rules with this being set in stone. So. As you can see, when I'm turning this, it looks a bit jerky. You know, and this isn't actually really surprising because let's think about it, right? So we've got this Midi knob here, and it's got 128 stats values, right? They're stats values. And now we just even reduced the range even more. We just said, hey, you know, we want to get 0 to 0.25 and do this. This is why it looks smoother on the second part, because it's got a bigger number range. So yeah, you know, it's all discovery for me with doing this in cables for the first time. Oh, wrong one. Now I could throw smooth up after it, obviously. Yeah, let's just do that, because I don't want to worry too much now about solving too many technical problems. I just want to kind of be in a creative flow, just get everything plugged in. So I'm going to type in smooth out jumps in values. So right mouse button, I'm going to plug that into value. I only want it on like 4, it's really pretty fast. Smooth up needs a trigger to work. As you can see, it's not doing anything right now. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to say trigger receive. Okay, let's get that, put it here. Grab T1. All right. So now, yeah, that feels better. You don't get those jumps anymore. This just looks good. So I can still just do this kind of stuff. Now, of course, this is going to have a really wild effect on the other patches. I didn't look at that, right? Let's just disable all FX. Like, this only went from 0 to 1 before, and now I think it's going up to 6. So I'm probably just going to break lots of stuff like this. Who knows? Yeah, look, like these lines, they're like way too small. But I can figure that out later in those sub patches and remap those ranges. So actually, you know, I'm kind of already breaking my first rule here. Yeah, so the output should only be between 0 and 1. So I'm gonna put it on 0.5, I'm gonna put it on 0.5 and 1. Yeah, okay. So if I want that to be crazier, I've got to fix that in the patches themselves. So if I want this to now go to 6, because you just got to keep your sanity, right? Like if I have to remember that this is outputting 0 to 6, and I'm going to go crazy trying to debug this later. So I'm going to look at FX1. So what I want to do now is this is, I think, patch 1. Let's find out. Pretty correct, this is patch 1. Let's go into flow mode just to check. Yeah, okay, so we're in patch 1, great. So I need to just find that one, FX1, and that was connected to scale. So here, FX1. I always like to give these things a quick color so they're easy to find in the patch. So, you know, this is getting 0 to 1, right? So I wanted it to go from 0 to 6. So just throw in a multiply. I'm just going to put that on 6. And now my original data coming from like the top root level of the patch is 0 to 1. So I don't have to keep track of too many number ranges. So this still goes from 0 to 6, basically, which is funky, which is kind of cool. I like it. Okay. Cool. But if I go to, say, this patch, this is still going between 0 and 1. Let's turn off that chromatic aberration for a minute. So I'm going to look here. It's like, the transform view, it's not working for me that we fly inside the cube. So we need to fix that now because that's really niggling me. This was old stuff, not using that right now. Let me just check. This is our scene. We can see this is our scene because if I'm going to turn this now, we're on scene 0. That is not this. I'm going to go here to scene 1, so we're in here. So now I'm just going to look for the FX1. So we control F, FX1. What did I call it? Like this with a space. I normally do underscore. So if I do FX space 1 and click this, as you can see. So this is just a really handy part of the search function in cables. So, you know, it's normally showing you at the top the patch that you're in, which has found that result. So this is this one. So this is 0 to 1 multiplied by 10, and that's for the amount of lines there, but we're not seeing it because we keep flying inside the thing. So I think we have a transform view here that we need to modify. Like I don't want this black screen, basically. Right, cool, there we go. Let's move back a little bit. It's minus 0.5, I think that put us, is it on 0.5? I don't remember what we just had it on. Let's turn off. I mean, I don't care as long as I don't fly inside that cube anymore. Or at least not most of the time. That's just a rotation problem. This is better. Right, let's put that there, because now I want to be able to see what modifying this does. Look, so like this changes the amount of lines there. And actually, I don't want it to go to 0, right? That's kind of bad. If I put it on 0, I just lose my visuals. I don't want to have to keep track of that in a live environment. So I'm going to turn it all the way to the left, and this is not what I want, basically. So here we do a multiply 0 to 10. I'm just going to be doing it with a map range for now. So I'm going to get rid of that multiply. So I'm going to say old min 0 to 1, new min 0, new max 10, get rid of the multiply. And now it's a no-brainer. I don't have to think about this. If I turn it all the way to the left, I've got at least a value of 1. If I turn it all the way up, I get 10. You know, what happens now if I put it on 20? Got a crazy amount of lines there. But this is cool. I mean, you want to have these extremes, right? You want to be able to get a lot of different visual styles out of it, basically. Okay, cool. So as you can see, you know, it's like I'm mapping something here. I've made sure that the root level is 0 to 1, and now I'm just trying to go back into each subpatch and make sure that it's just kind of nice when we tweak it, right? It's like here as well. Like this is bad. If I'm going to hit mirror now, I have a black screen. So this is just too low, right? That one shape there. So that's kind of bad. So let's go into patch 1. There's a lot of back and forth when you're doing this stuff. Control F, FX space 1. I'm going to press this, and cables, flashes are up there to show me it. So, you know, let's just do the same trick again. Let's not do multiply by 6. Let's do map range. Map range is your friend. Okay, so we're going to go old min 0, old max 1, new min, let's put it on 1 for now, and 6. So if I turn this all the way down, this is 1. I actually think it can be 0.5. That I want to make this really dense cluster. I'm going to bang mirror on. Do I lose it all? No, you know, I just want to be able to turn this both ways to the full and the other way, and pretty much most of the time see something. That's just my golden rule with tweaking these kind of things right now. Because you don't want to be there in a live show where you're like tweaking knobs and then your screen goes black and you don't know why. You know, you should just make sure that that stuff cannot happen, basically. And trust me, by all the amount of things we're going to throw together later, we'll end up with a huge amount of possibilities with things we can do. Okay, so this was Zoom Blur. So I can press that to put it down to 0.25. I can press this to put it up to 2. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something with the preset up. Now the thing is, I could have just done everything on this one MIDI controller, right? I could have said, this is like, this is effects level, row level 0, like here, row level 1, row level 2, row level 3, right? I could say effect on, tweak everything. But it's just some stuff you just want to do with buttons, that you just want to hit it, you know, during the beat and the music you want to get in there. And this kind of stuff, like a DJ, you want to kind of turn it up and down. So that's kind of like what I'm going for right now. Okay. Okay. So we've got this other one here, right? So this one, let's just get back on track. This isn't doing anything, so we're just trying to clean that up. We're replacing that UI with this stuff here. So let's make it a bit more ordered. So this one, set shape select instancer. Let's see what this does. Right, so that swaps between these things. Okay. That's something I want to change now. So let's go to the next patch. Okay, I know we've got different shapes here. Okay, let's plug this in and get it working, right? So we're gonna go here, And we're just gonna go for the third knob. I'm just doing it nice and easy. We're just gonna use 4 of them for tonight. So this is MIDI fighter CC1. 2, sorry. 0, 1, 2. Okay. If I turn this now, the number should change. Great. So I'm going to drop this map range thing for now, and I'm going to drop the floor. Just want to output 0 to 1. And then each sub patch I'm going to change it. I'll explain why. So let's go to this patch. So now I can swap between. Right, okay. So of course when we're using something like a switch or a root, it's got to be an integer number, like 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if it isn't, then, well, it's just not going to work, basically. Here we go. So we're using switch object, right? So this is the problem, okay? You know, so this isn't valid. You know, switch object says I expect an integer number. So we're going to go here, and we're going to say floor. I thought. Let's just take a quick peek. Yeah, 0 to 1. So as you can see, I've got to turn it all the way up, right? It's like I've got to go from 0. So I have to turn this knob like 99% to get the cube. So now I'm actually just doing this. I'm never going to remember that. That's just kind of horrible. So I just want to remap it that. Because the MIDI fighter has this really great feedback with the visual LEDs there, right? And I always want stuff to just be like here. I just don't want to have to do a lot of work. So, you know, once again, we're going to get this, we're going to get a map range. And we're just going to do this in a dirty fashion right now. So we're going to say, let's just put this in 0.25 and then put this in 0 and 1. So if we do this now, as you can see, I've got to turn it like way less for it to change, basically. It's still too much for my taste, basically. I've still got to turn it like way too much. So I'm going to just put this on, say, 0.15. And now I need to be able to do it fast with my fingers, right? So this will do for now. This is fine. Now let's say I want the default to be cube, and I'm always going to turn everything to 0 when I start a VJ set, because then I know what everything was at the beginning, and as I'm turning things, then I remember what everything does. So if I want to flip this around, that I've got the cube on 0, it's really simple, just go here, 1, 0, right? So we flip it around, now I get the prism when I turn it up. Okay, cool, just a little trick there. Let's save for a minute. So let's get this parameter now, which is called shape select instancer. And handy thing, I'm going to go here and I'm just going to copy that with Control C. I'm going to go into patch 2, which is this one. And I'm going to do Control F, Control V, and this is going to let me, wrong patch, sorry. That's inside this patch here. You know, and if you don't know where it is and you like that, just click here again and cables will take you there. Wrong patch, my bad. Here we go. I don't think, so that's the thing, I didn't map it yet. Right, so we're gonna jump into patch 2, which is this one. Yeah, okay, so we're here. And this is what we had down here. So we had a Retrigger. So this is the thing. Now I remember what it was doing. So this shape that we're looking at there, the outside one, yeah, it's a cube, cylinder, or pyramid. So like every 1 bar, this triggers a random number between 0, 1, and 2, right? Actually, I don't think it's hitting. Let me just disconnect this and just try it myself. There it was. That's silly, okay. So as you can see, this is changing the shape on the outside. Okay. Okay, so let's say I want to control that by hand. Or let's say I want to be able to switch between the two. So let's do, let's change the music up a bit. So here, what we can do is we can plug in numbers, different number streams, and then swap between them. And you might think, why would you want to do that? Well, sometimes I'm going to want the patch to be kind of generative, that it's doing its own thing. And don't forget, if you find this difficult to follow, it is, because I'm not getting true visual feedback yet from my MIDI controller. So that's something I've really got to address in the next stream. Let's just assume that I'm going to be getting that working in the future. So I'm going to add like some kind of visual feedback here, like I am manually in control of a parameter, or that is randomizing. Because who knows, maybe you need to use the toilet, right? Or you need to talk to somebody for 30 seconds. Isn't it really handy if you can just press a couple of buttons and it's going to randomize with a timed sequence, right? So let's say I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get this trigger random number, and I'm going to put this on every half because I found it a little bit on the low side. All right. So now I have to kind of come up with a rule. I'm going to say, if I'm ever using a switch number, 0 is going to be random, 1 is me taking control. So I'm going to plug this into value 0. So with the index here, we're going to decide if we are looking at this one or this one. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to do var get number. And this one was shape select instancer. Okay, so if I turn this knob now, it goes from 0 to 1. Okay, cool. So I know we've got 0, 1, 2, so 3 shapes, right? So I'm going to do map range, and I'm going to do 0 to 2, and then I'm going to do flow. So if we turn this now, 0, 1, 2. Okay, so let's just get a bit of space here. So once again, the way it was before was, let's just plug that in. So you're going to look here at this half trigger with flow mode, and every half of a bar, this is going to trigger a random number, and that changes the outside of the cube. Okay, great. So I want to be able to control that myself. So I'm going to get this now, and I'm going to plug this into value 1. Okay, so this knob is going to do one of two is going to do something, right? But what I want to be able to do is change it now. I don't want to keep that logic over here. This is for post FX, right? And this is for stuff inside of the actual patch. So I'm going to get this here, and I'm going to use that to toggle between them. So I'm going to do var get number. Don't know if I actually did anything here. Just going to add it as a go now. I don't think I did it with the buttons. No, okay. So look here with these buttons on the MIDI fighter. I didn't do anything yet because I said it would just be a lot of work. So now I'm only going to add them when I need them, basically. So it's this one, corresponds to this. So when I press this button, it's going to be this one right here. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go here, and what we're going to do is we're going to get the CC value out, which is 0 to 1. So I'm going to do var set number. And I'm going to call this create new variable, actually cancel. I want to see the variables. I think I just call it, MIDI underscore fighter. MIDI underscore fighter. Dial press 0, 1, 2. That's this one. Okay. So let's go back here to patch 2. That's what we were a moment ago. So I'm going to go here to this number now, and I'm going to grab Midi fighter. Where did I just put it? That's set. Making a mistake there. Got to do get. Here we go. Midi fighter dial press 2. So if I now press this in, I get 0 to 1. So if I plug this in here, it's going to allow me to swap. Got a problem though. I have to hold it in if I want to have manual control to turn it, which is not what I want. So we're going to go here. I'm going to do trigger true, trigger change true, and then we're going to do what we did before with the toggle bool. Okay, so now I can press this and I can alternate between the two. So I know it's also possible to send data back to the Midi fighter, so that I could say the value of what we see here is going to change this indicator there, that little red light, because as you can see when I push it in, it becomes green. You can see that. But it's very small on the screen, guys, so you can see it. Yeah, so that's another thing for another episode. But basically, we're gonna plug this in now, and we're gonna put it in there to the index. Okay, so let's take a look. We're on. I need to do bool to number. Okay, because this is outputting a bool, right? True or false, and bool to number changes that into a number. So now we can look here, and as you can see, we can toggle between what we're doing. So if I have it on 0, then it's, as you can see, it's changing every time with this. If I'm now going to click this, it's only going to change when I turn this knob here, basically. So that's me. So even though this is being triggered now, as you can see, it's not listening to that, it's listening to what I'm doing here with this shape. Let me just move the transform view back, because it's really difficult to see this when you're inside the shape. Let's put it on minus 0.5. Bit better, okay. Let's go back here. Okay, so basically, to summarize it, I am getting this and I'm saying, if I press it once, then please do your own generative stuff, swap this shape here. I don't want to think about you anymore. And me turning this now won't actually do anything. As you can see, me changing this value here is not being passed through. But the cool part about this is, right, it can be generative, and I could swap it all the way to the right, and then I tap it, and that value now gets pushed through. So that's the basic idea behind that one. So once again, this idea here is this shape select thing, which is now disconnected, which is here. I want that no matter which patch that I go in, that's going to do something. So now let's jump here. Wow, okay, how are we going to do this? So we're going to go to patch 3. You know what? Let's just grab this bit of logic, right? Yeah, we copied it. So I'm going to jump into patch 3, which is kind of like this. I was inspired by the Tesseract a while ago from Interstellar. Really loved that film. Wow, did I do all that in that stream? Holy shamoly. Okay, completely forgot about this. All right. So what can I plug it into here that's going to make this kind of cool? Let's turn this up so we get more lines. Now this also shouldn't go to... Right, so that thing I did here with the FX map before, I didn't do it with this one. Right, so this isn't good because I can turn it to 0, which means we don't have anything on the screen. Let's just do a quick fix for now. I'm just going to do sum, add 1. Yeah, so this is that thing I said, right? Like, oh look, I turned it to 0 and it was just black. That's not acceptable. I don't want that. So I'm going to put this now like this. Okay, cool. So now I get something on the screen, no matter what. All right, so we had some I can see these grayed out parts here, so we were doing something with the preset up. Okay, right. So, we built this entire system here where it's triggering a random number. So what it's doing is it's getting a quarter trigger. The trigger count is counting how often it's going. We've got it on a loop of 4, which is 0, 1, 2, 3. And when it equals 0, it sends out a value of true. This then sends out a trigger, and that creates a random number, which then picks a random preset. Right, okay. That's just me getting back into it. So if I'm gonna press this in, if I'm gonna turn this, I want it to do this kind of like shape select. But do I have something here that I can do a shape select with? And I've plugged a lot of it into the preset up. Boo. So that's 4, that's 16, that's 8. Would this work? So if I do a target number, then we're looking at Midi Fighter CC2, right? That's this one? Yeah, that's this one. So I'm going to do pull it over here. Yeah, I bundled a bit too much into the preset up, but it's okay. So I'm going to get map range 0 to 1, and then I'm going to put it on, say, 4 to 24. 16 was kind of a sweet number, but I don't want floats because it's the repeat up, it expects integers. So I'm going to grab the floor up, so that turns it into an integer, and I'm now going to plug this into repeats. There. So now if I turn this, so look, it's kind of like bugger. So yeah, when it flies off to this, so okay, so when we don't have a lot of cubes and it jumps all the way to the left, then we lose it. So maybe the idea here is just not to put it on the 4, but to put it on, say, 8. But then that still just feels kind of lame, I suppose. Let's put it on 6. Like I said, you want to make it that if it flies off the screen, you don't lose it. And that's obviously got to do with this transform here. We're moving everything here. Okay, yeah, so this is the transform view. We're looking for the position Z. What's making it move left and right? That's scale, that's rotation. I mean, it's moving to the left and right. Where am I doing that? Great. Let's just get rid of that stuff I'm not using. This as well. Position X, right? So it's this one. So this is just like too high, basically. Cool. So we tweak it. And now even if I put this on a low number and it flies towards the camera, it should always be on the screen. Alright. And then, so here's a problem I just hit. So if I put the mirror on, that's cool, right? But look what happened here when I pressed flip. It went black, right? This doesn't seem like such a bad thing because, you know, when I'm pressing it, I'm realizing it. But, you know, what would happen if I'd have it like that where it's black and then I turn mirror off and then I'm pressing some effects and putting some things on and then I do this and it's not there. You know, I'm going to be like, oh God, you know, what did I just do? So yeah, that's something I'm not too sure how to solve right now. So it'd be really cool to create a system of raycasting like something on the screen right now. but that's not something for this stream. I just still think it's actually just flying off too much to the side. So let's just put it on -1 and 1. Turn the mirror on, press flip, and you know, do we lose it then? A little bit, but it's actually not too bad. Okay. So you know, I'm getting it now where just like any combination of things that I'm putting on should just start creating different output. You know, I really need to have the visual feedback later on from if it's being generative or not. Yeah, so that's a real thing, you know what I mean? You press a lot of dials and buttons in, and it's like, where am I? How is this stuff working right now? Okay. Let's step this up a bit. So this was a little bit of sing blow. This is a lot. This is how many lines. Flip makes that stuff disappear. Okay. You know, and I think this kind of system is just like anything, you know, I'm trying to make it where it's always kind of good, you know, no matter what you turn, but as you can see, it can go wrong, right? It's like, you know, you can lose things on the screen. And I actually, at one point, I really don't mind this. It's like if you're jamming with instruments, you know, in a band or something like that, yeah, there's a chance it can go wrong. I mean, it's not the end of the world. That's like how things should be able to work in a creative environment, right? So that's the edge detect. You know, it's impossible to get all this stuff like good in one go the first time. I mean, if you just want to make like, you know, let's just say you did this and you focused on this looking really good, and you didn't really have any changing post effects, and then you just swapped between scenes, sure, you know, and then you let that play for 2 minutes. But I like just being able to change this stuff really quickly. So one thing I don't like right now is that, you know, I tweak this. Look, I'm changing it, and you see me jumping from scene to scene. Now, I think that's really handy is that you make a number only change on a quantization rate. So Live has this built in where you can say, I'm going to press these clips, and I'll just show you for a minute. So we've got the quantization rate here on 2 bars. So these play buttons indicate like if something is playing, it's solid green, and if it's flashing, it's a follow action, it's going to be the next thing to play. So if I'm going to go here and I press enter, I'm going to hit the keyboard pretty hard now so you hear it. It's not going to instantly do it, watch. It waits until it gets to a downbeat. And this means you get like a smooth changeover, right? This is like really cool. Now if I put this quantization rate, say for example on like 116, and I press it at the wrong time, you know, it's changing like this. Now it's not in time, right? So I don't want that, so I'm putting it on 2 bars. So we can simulate something like this in cables where I say, I'm gonna turn this, but I only want the number to change like every first bar. So, and this is how you can get stuff to change according to like your global Midi clock, right? So this is the one we're looking at here. This allows me to change scene, right? Now what we do here is we do trigger, set number and trigger, outputs and number when triggered, right? So we're gonna do trigger receive. And later on in another episode, I'm gonna be using this to kind of create this global quantization system like what you saw here in Live. This will all drop into place at some point in the future if you're still following all of this. So I'm gonna go here to 1-1 trigger, right? And I'm gonna do this. Now let's pay attention to what's gonna happen here. So every bar, this then changes. So when I'm gonna turn this now to scene one, it's not going to happen unless it's on time with the music. So watch this again, see if you can follow my hand. Notice how it's changing on the downbeat. This is just something I could never do with the actual MIDI knob, right? You know, I turn it and you see it go from 0, 1 to 2, but now I can be on 2. I can turn it to 0, and it changes in time with the music, basically. And this is a really handy feature when you're doing abrupt changes. So this thing that I just did here, basically, you know, we could now say, you know, so like this kind of thing where you're changing values that are like floats. You don't want to do this, obviously, but when you're like changing this, let me click this in, you know, so now I can change the shape, right? So I can go between, there we go. So that I can change the shape between cube, circle, or prism. But look, I've got that same problem. It's changing as I turn, and there's no way for me to synchronize this. So I'm going to go into patch 2. And we're going to go down here. This is basically where we did it. Same idea. So we just go here and we grab this and we say set number on trigger. And put that there. And it's back into the index. And now, you know, if I'm going to turn, like for example, later on, 2 knobs, I go thump and I change them, but you know, you can't tweak a knob on the downbeat and then have it work like when you're pressing a button. So I can tweak these knobs before the downbeat, and then it's going to swap the shape. So, you know, now it's on the cube, right? And it's swapping now on a downbeat, basically. And it takes a bit of practice because you got to really listen to the music. Like, you know, when is the downbeat? Like here, as you can see, when that 1-1 trigger is going off, like right here. Because, you know, this is the way that I like to make visuals really punchy and snappy. You know, because when you're doing this stuff normally in like a venue with like 2,500 people there, it really stands out when this stuff is not moving with the lights and the music, right? You know, if it's just like playing the whole time, it just kind of like, I don't know. To me, everything in a live venue should complement each other. The lights should complement the DJ. Well, actually, they're complementing the musical artist, right? So, you know, the lights should complement it, and the visuals should complement it, and the lights and visuals should complement each other as well. So, you know, this is that thing I just want to do now, where I can just say, hey, I just want to turn this stuff, and I only want it to change in time with the music. Now this scene select I might actually put over here later, because it's kind of difficult to know if I'm on 0, 1, or 2, and if I'm going to add more scenes later on, this could get trickier. You know, I could say later on with this series, like I'm going to do a maximum of 8 scenes, and then I can hit a button. And once again, you know, I only want it to change like on time. And I'm looking now at the trigger receiver. It'd be really good to be able to change what it's receiving. But I could do that with a root trigger, but that's something for another episode. So you see, I'm just trying to build these little systems in place which are gonna make it easier to create a more easier to control experience, I'd say. Yeah, okay. That chromatic aberration is just way too much, but I just want it to be clear that it's on. Okay, so you know, this is the thing I think with developing this this patch, this VJ software. You make a lot of steps forward, and then you plug a lot of stuff in, and it's like, does this work the same way now? You know, if it doesn't, that's okay. That's all part of the creative process. I feel like I'm slowing down a little bit with making progress with the patch right now, but tonight's been a lot more brain technical work than actually getting creative. So let's turn everything off. I mean, we can do so much stuff here, like change the color of the matte cap material on each level. Okay, so I think to round it off for tonight, the last thing I want to do is a different post effects. Yeah, I've really got to get this thing working with the visual feedback though. So I'm going to do if true then. I know I already did this before. I just want to approach this with like a fresh head now. So now, because we're building an extra effect, we've got to build a bypass system. Okay, so now we're building a bypass system. All right. So let's turn those effects off. But I still want this to be on, basically. Okay. So this pixel displacement thing, you know, it doesn't have a texture now, so it's just give me a moment. Got a little problem there. So I just open the Control-Shift-I, the console. Control-Shift-I is a reset. Control-Shift-I. Okay. All right. So. That's the displacement amount. Is this on? Ah, no. That was the problem. Did I disable everything? Yes. So that's my problem. Alright, so we're bypassing all those effects. I just only want to look at this last one. That's it. Okay. So I want to make a little separate post effects tuner. So I'm going to get the Midi all, and I'm actually going to move it right to the top of the patch because that's what's controlling everything. And this stuff here, I'm going to put next to it. Yeah, this was a fade everything out. I'm just going to leave that there for now. This one isn't there. Fade all out, I'm not going to worry about that for now. That can obviously get mapped to this later on. So I've just got another little idea here. So I'm going to move this over here. Why am I doing it like this? I think it's, I mean, basically I could just... So basically, this is just... I'm not sure why I did that. Okay. So right now I want to make a little pre-visualization for what I'm going to do. So I'm going to... And this is the last thing for today. So I'm going to grab the orthogonal op. And then I'm going to grab a basic material. I'm going to make a little visualizer, basically. We need it to be over here, so it makes sense. Need to run to zoom in more. Okay, rectangle. Now the full screen rectangle is drawing over it, if I'm correct, because of the draw order. There we go. So just in case you didn't see what was happening there, this full screen rectangle was being drawn last, so obviously it was going over everything. There's one or two different ways to do this. Let's just do it like this for now. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna grab a transform. I'm just gonna move it over here for now. Okay, so I know I did something similar before, but I just want to try something different now. So let's make this, I don't know, 512 by 512 for now. Drop the viewport size, we don't want that. Wrap, clamp to edge. Gonna grab something really simple. Voronoi. Okay. And what I want to do is, I want to just visualize it there for a minute, and I'd rather do this with variables later, but I'm just going to keep it quick and easy. So we get that. All right, great. So this is something. No, let's do it with variables. I just like to keep it clean. Var set texture variable. I think we've already got one for the displays, but I'm going to probably call this something different later. Yeah, let's just call it something different. So displays, I normally do this at the beginning. TEX when it's a texture, displays new 0. I'm going to go here and say var get texture, right? We're going to say text displays new 0. Yeah, I had an old one there. I just want to try something new right now. So let's put this on 0.1 and 0.1. So that's where we can see the Voronoi, and you know we need a visualizer, so we're just gonna. I just find it really handy to see it there. So I'm gonna do var get texture again. So we're just plugging this into the basic material for that rectangle. So we're gonna go here, and I'm gonna make the text displays new 0. Now I can see it there, and I can see what's happening here, right? So a couple of different things we can do here. I just want to play around and try some stuff. So if we look at movement, you know, this stuff is gonna change. Of course, I'm using my mouse wheel, so that's going. So let's just get time there. So I'm gonna grab a timer. I just want to set this last little thing before the end of the night. So as you can see, the Voronoi here isn't mirrored, which could be kind of cool, I suppose. Trying stuff out. So I mean, pixel displacement is a really kind of tricky effect to get right. So you know, I'm going to kind of pick a number now and then stick on it. Yeah, I know that 0.2 is pretty high already. We didn't have it on X. There we go. Okay. I'm just curious. So this can give us a lot of different looks. Okay. So I want this effect to be able to be turned on or off and then use a different amount of displacement. It could actually be better to put it like before the mirror effect. I've got a feeling the mirror effect should kind of go last actually, but we'll worry about that later. So I'm just going to go here, and now I'm just going to do I could do a root trigger, but let's just do it like this now. I'm going to pixelate an image, and we're going to put it on, say, 16 by 1. Now, this is where I'm getting curious. Let's do this. Oh, that's right. Let's just do an if tree then. Not overcomplicate it. So we're going to get this, and we're going to get FBM noise. And we're going to get that timer. I'm going to plug it into Anim. As you can see, we're now getting this smoother change down. I'm just curious why the Voronoi gives it this like staggered jumping look. If I'd actually want that to change in time, trigger receive, and we're gonna get like a half trigger. I'm just gonna do trigger counter. I'm gonna plug that into time. Actually, let's grab an 8th. That number's really big, so we're going to get a multiply. That draws the distance. Yeah, we just want it as solid colors. Why is this not a toggle? That's weird. Okay. Yeah, number 50, that's a lot. Let's put it on like 4. Right, so the thing is, we now want it to go in bigger steps. Way bigger steps. Eighth is way too much, so we'll go back to a half. So now it swaps on time with the music, and then I can plug it back in here. Okay, just let me get the FBM. This is something I just want to have brighter, I suppose. So I think if I'm going to turn off, I just want this stronger contrast. Yeah, this one's brighter. This idea with a pixelate isn't working out the way I want though. But I think it's because the values aren't going high enough. So So basically, there's two ways of doing this. This is really extreme. This is more actually what I'm going for. So repeat will, so the wrap mode we got on repeat. So when it gets pushed off the side of the screen, it's gonna come back. This is, okay. Mirror, it will mirror, clamp, goes off when we get that. Don't want mirror because then we get those like mirror effects. I'm gonna just put it on repeat for now. So I've actually got the amount X and Y, and so I put 5, if I put it on 1 and 1, it becomes kind of crazy. So the thing is, we can change how much that's working by just actually plugging in brightness, contrast. So look down. So, if we're gonna turn this up right now, we get a much heavier displacement. And I think I need to put this on HDR mode. Yeah, okay, HDR mode. It's a lot better now. So we can use contrast and brightness here to get these really extreme effects. Now, this is obviously way too much. So actually, let's go down here now. Let's just put this in 0.5 because I think that was the problem. The image wasn't bright enough. Okay. Yeah, this can create some cool stuff. Yeah, I like the way this is going. It's really simple right now. It's way too many. Yeah, okay. It's going in the right direction for me though. And of course, now I'd probably want to reorder some of this stuff. Like I said, the mirror should go more towards the bottom and things like that. But this is something that I already like, that gives some pretty different looks basically. Now this is its own little FX chain right there. Could do little stuff here like 12 by 12 or 12 by 1 again. So, this is a pretty complex setup. So, if I just want to do this like really simply, so this is the Varnize. Still wondering if that's just a fail with the trigger count thing. It's nice that it's beat synced, but I just get these jumps here, which I'm really not so happy about. Just trying to wrap my head around why. Movement just have to be higher. 1 minute. I don't think movement should be above 1 actually. No, okay. So let's plug that back in. I just don't know why I get these jumps. Like this. Ah, okay, yeah, of course it's rotating. It's actually not too bad. I'm just going to make a quick preset up for now. Yeah, so first of all I'm going to plug this into there. It's going to let me decide which noise type that I've got. Okay. And then I'm gonna plug this into texture input. I wonder what happens if I change these. Oh, that's not going to do a whole lot. Nah, no point. Just put it on normal. So I'm just interested in width and height for now. Don't want to overcomplicate things. Width, height. So if I'm going to bypass it, I can do that like down here at the end of the global effect chain, which I'm not even going to plug in tonight because it's getting a little bit late. I just want to get this last thing in now. So let's now say I'm going to press F for flow mode, and I don't want to start with foreign noise. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to put this on 0, and this now takes me to FPM noise. That's the one I want. So I'm just going to make a couple of presets. So I'm going to put it on 2 by 2. Actually 2 by 1. And this just breaks up that whole mirror thing, which isn't actually so bad, I think. If I put it on 1 by 1, it's just... Let's just try it out. Let's just do it like this, 2 by 2. So we're going to create a preset. I'm going to call it 2 by 2. I'm going to make a preset 4 by 1. I'm going to call it 12 by 1. 24. Yeah, these can all be changed later or deleted. The cool new things that have been added to the preset up there with deleting stuff. Let's put on 64. Yeah, this is the stuff I'm liking right now. With the preset up, it's great. You can just do all this stuff and yeah, look at this. That's pretty cool. Let's put it on 128. It's just a really weird look, but I like it. And of course, I can do this all the other way around. So if we go here, like 1 by 4. Let's just do it. Okay, unclick. And then 1 by 8. 1 by 12. 1 by 12. 24. 64. I can filter all this out later. I don't want to think about it now. So, you know, now I can go here to this. I'm just going to grab a knob for now. I'm just going to get number 4 from the Midi fighter, and I'm going to wrap it up. That was weird. Control S. Just not happy with that art for some weird reason. I'm not sure what just happened there. Let's reload. Got a presets. Yeah, okay. So we got that on AB. Okay. So this is the one I want to change. Var get number. So that doesn't happen again. Ghost in the machine, people. Ghost in the machine. So Midi fighter CC 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So go here. Okay, so that's this one. Yeah, okay. As you can see, I can now go between these different presets, but look, we're only going between 0 and 1. So this is really cool. So let's make it dynamic that, you know, it's just outputting 0 to 1, and no matter what it's going to output, no matter how many presets we got, it's always going to map to that, right? So we're just going to grab map range, and old min, old max is 0 and 1. So that's the lowest preset, and we just look here at the amount of presets, right? So the number of presets is 12. So we plug that into new max, and now we can interpolate between all of the different presets that we've got down. And of course this is going to look a bit crazy because of the effect itself. Could also just plug in 2 knobs and do something like this. Now, if we're going to plug in floor, then we'll get those jumps, between presets. Right. And why is the effect not on? Something happened down here. It's not on. Global bypass with everything. Control S. Okay. I can do the same thing again, that later on this will only change in time with the music, but I don't want to be doing that right now. Okay. Alright, well I didn't get as far as I expected to tonight, but that is okay. It's all work in progress. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight actually. Actually, there's one last thing I should do in the name of consistency. So I should make one last button. I'm never going to forgive myself. So we're going to go here. We've got these main buttons. So I basically, let's do this. Learn 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not velocity. We're looking for the gate. And then this one we're going to call Launchpad Row 4 main button. We're going to go back to main. Var get number. Alright, so now I should just be able to, so this allows me to turn the pixel displays on or off. Oh, needs to use the toggle system, obviously. That's here. Okay. So this now allows me to turn pixel displays on or off. You know what, last thing of the night, let's just do it because it's all over the place right now, but that's okay. So let's just say I'm not going to use this, right? Like ignore that, because when I turn through the presets like this, I don't think that's very pleasant. It's a great way to have a lot of presets. And I'm just thinking like, I've got it here on row 5. So I could just store presets here, right? Let's do that, just for the sake of the stream. So I'm going to do var get number. Let's go to Midi all. Press C to center the patch. So we need one more here, right? So this is the Midi note filter. So I'm going to get that event. And I'm going to say learn, and I'm going to press the lowest and the highest. That maps. All right, and this one I'm going to call Launchpad Row 4. Save. Okay, go back to main. This is just because I want to show how this can work. So, we've got this preset here, right? We don't need this floor anymore. This is just going to work. So we're going to go here and we're going to say Launchpad. Did I not just make it? Let's go back again. Launchpad row 4. Okay. Is this working? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's working. Okay. Must just be missing something. I'm not sure why that's not appearing. Let's do a reload. There we go, Launchpad row flow. So let's look at the minimum. So we press this button, it's 64, the maximum is 71. So then we say old min is 64, the max is 71. And we want to map that from 0 to 12. This isn't obviously going to map up exactly because we've got 12 presets but only 8 buttons. But if you now look here, I can now press this and change these things. Let's turn the effect on. I think I'm missing something there. Ah no, just not making much of a change, just gotta jump through. So it's lazy, but for now I'm just gonna, yeah, basically I should have just made 8 presets, right? So let's fix it with the preset up, that's what this stuff is for. I don't like 2-2, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Let's get rid of the 24s. So we've got 0 to 8, that's one too many. Doesn't matter, let's get rid of the 8. And delete 1, 8. Fine, 0 to 7, 8 presets. So now when I press this button, wrong one. I'm missing something here. I've got to put it back on AB, there we go. So as you can see, I'm going through these presets, but it's doing like the 0, 1, 2.2, so it's because it's going to 8, but we need to subtract 1. Yep. Okay. Now I'm not sure why that's not turning on. I think it's because I did a disable global bypass. Yeah. Okay. This is why we need this feedback stuff. All right, back to where we were. Yeah. So now I can just like pick different displacement patterns based upon this. You know, obviously I could leave like a button available here to be able to swap between stuff. I mean, I used the preset up so I could like change furrow noise or FBM noise, but it's okay. Yeah, we can do a lot of stuff with this. Okay. All right, so I'm actually gonna round it up right now because it's been like over 2.5 hours or something like that. So I didn't make as much progress as I'd like, but I've made progress nonetheless, and I'm happy with how a lot of it turned out. There's a lot of different things that we can do with this basically. There's a lot of ways we can go, which is really nice, I suppose. There's so many different things we can do later on. I think the displacement texture stuff's gonna work. And mapping things, that's an art into itself. That can take a really long time to just tweak it until you're right. I also want to create, thanks Steamer, glad you like it. It's very experimental right now. It's the first time I'm really doing something this big in cables with MIDI controls and stuff. I'll be getting my own MIDI controllers back from my old crib in about a month, which is great because then I've got like the bearing a MIDI controller, and it's got like motorized faders. There's a lot more visual information, and it matches up a lot easier, and things are really cool. So in the meantime, you know, I'm gonna investigate like how to send MIDI out of cables. Yeah, right. Experimental is the only way to go. I mean, I don't want to pre-script and pre-do this stuff. You know, I think it's good for people to see the process that everybody goes through if you want to make something you've not done before. So I really need to research like how to send MIDI out of cables to give me visual feedback on these controllers. Okay, hold it. Let's tilt it up a bit. Yeah, look, there we go. That's because I did that tilt thing. Hi everybody, I'm upside down. Let's select that. There we go. Hey everybody, back again. Yeah, so I think for the last part of the stream, it's just nice to be able to see me while I explain this stuff. So, you know, I think I've definitely got to get the visual feedback working on the controllers. You know, I need to know something is on or off. Like, you know, like, is this global bypass on or off? You might think it's obvious. You know, is mirror on or off? You know, you need that visual feedback. So that's something I've really got to focus on. So that's not actually so related to making pretty visuals, but it is related to making it possible to make cooler, pretty visuals. So that's one of the next things I want to do. The other next thing I want to do is I'm gonna hit up Ronnie Richtich. If you can give me a nice DJ mix. I don't want to go through the terror of setting up a live DJ VJ mix over the internet. That's just like not something I want to wrap my head around now. So I'm going to ask him if you can just make it like a nice half hour, 40-minute mix. And I think I'm going to ask him if you can put that on SoundCloud, and then we can use the SoundCloud URL up, and then we can stream the audio from SoundCloud, which means that we don't have to upload this like 200 MB file into cables, which is just pretty much a bad idea, you know, if you don't need to do it. And then I kind of like want to, you know, I don't want to only work on this now, on this MIDI control stuff. This was just to get the ball rolling, also to give people insight into how it works. And then, like I said, I want to do this like audio analysis stuff, like based upon some previous tutorials I've done with like the biquad filter, and that's a really interesting thing to map to the MIDI controller. So like, if I get this mix off Richtich, you know, that I can figure out like how do I change these 2 to 3 bands, like bass, mid, high, and then it's a completely different system. I'm not getting MIDI notes anymore, right? So it's going to be a different version of the VJ software. This is like the Ableton Live stuff. That's going to be a completely different one. That's only going to work on triggers, and it becomes very minimal then, because like with Ableton Live, I'm getting a lot of really rich data. So like, oh, here's a bass synth. I'm getting 32 different notes and velocity, you know, and when you've got a DJ playing, all you've got is audio amplitude on your like bass, mid, high, and you could split it up into 4 bands, but not really much point from my experience. So that's going to also require a different approach. So I'd rather get that into the software now instead of going, oh, I've built it and I've tweaked it and it's all perfect for this Ableton stuff with like 96 bits of information coming in, and now I've only got 5 and it all doesn't work anymore. So I think that's going to be the next stuff that I'm going to solve. Feedback on the MIDI controllers with MIDI coming from cables, and then the audio analysis and DJ thing. And I think when I do that actually with the set from Richtich, because you already said 1 or 2 times he was really cool with doing that, I don't think I'm going to do that in this patch. I'm going to just build it inside another patch with like some very simple visuals on the screen like in my tutorials. I'm going to just focus on like solving all these problems like amplitude levels, thresholds, how to reset the triggers and things like that. It sounds very simple, but it can be quite a tedious process to get it right. But once you got it right, then it's really good. So that's the end of the stream for tonight. It was interesting for me. I did a lot of new things with cables that I haven't done before, which I'm always happy to do, basically. And I'm really glad that this, yeah, you know, I made a lot of progress tonight. I'm really happy with how it went, basically. Yeah, it's actually okay. You know, I just expected myself to get more done. So I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in tonight, who's been watching. It's always really nice when there's some people following this. Later on, this video is going to get uploaded to YouTube in case you've not been able to watch it all, or you want to be able to do a recap on some of this. It's been a little bit quiet tonight, but that's okay. You know, we just do these things because we like to do them and share them with the community. Hopefully this will inspire you to just do some new different things inside the cables, basically. If you've got any questions about this, post them on the forum, post them under the video on YouTube. That should be up in a day or two. And I'll be doing another stream next week, where I'll be continuing with this probably. I think with this, I could do a copycats, but I'm really in the vibe of this one right now, so I'd rather do it while it's all still kind of fresh in my head. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And I hope all you lovely people have a good night and a good week. And I'll see you in the next stream. Have a good one. Bye.